discussing or analysis. Just to do it, you want to help people, just go to the people, just help them, that's all. And that's what he has done. And the inspiration of Mahatma Ji, Veerabai Ji, and his own revered father. And I welcome him, sir, on behalf of this institution and myself. I'm so delighted that here there is somebody who's done what he wanted to do. And what he is going to tell you is not the product of reading books, but the product of your own life experience. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Abhay.
Thank you so much, sir. I think we can all agree when Subramanian sir said, you cannot learn about rural India sitting here in TIS or from Mantralaya. Development means serving people at the doorsteps, and that I think sets the foundation of today's evening's lecture. With that, I also have the honor to introduce the speaker of today's evening, Dr. Abhay Bang. Abhay Bang grew up in the Sevagram ashram of Mahatma Gandhi. He was inspired by the social ideals and trained in India and at the John Hopkins School of Public Health. He was a top notcher in the university and won 3 gold medals. He is a recipient of the Padma Shri in 2018 and the Maharashtra Bhushan in 2003, among many other awards for the work done by him and his organization, SEARCH, Society for Education, Action and Research in Community Health. In the area of community health, he co-founded this in 1985 with Dr. Rani Bagh in a remote district of Gadchiroli, where they also reside. It provides medical care and conduct research in 150 villages. Dr. Bang and his organization have conducted several path-breaking studies which have shaped national and global policies. They have developed a new approach, home-based newborn and child care, which has reduced infant mortality rate from the baseline 1 to 1 to as low as 30. This approach has been replicated in 10 countries and is being scaled up nationally by the government of India. In Sir's own words, you won't find solutions to rural India's health issues in modern facilities that are far removed. Effective strategies will emerge only when you work with the people. It is impossible to tell everything about him, but what can I say at this point is that we are excited and looking forward to your lecture, sir. You really are an inspiration to all of us. I will now invite Dr. Abhay Bang for the lecture and Professor Bipin Jojo to chair the session. Thank you.
Dr. Bipin Jojo, Dean of the school, and Professor M.Subramanian, in whose name this endowment lecture. And I'm honored really to not only speak today, but also to meet him. I had good fortune of spending nearly half hour with him, sharing his old good days and some of my old good days, and realizing that lot of values and views that from history we share together. So it's really an honor to give this oration. And in this institution, which has provided leadership to social organizations, social movements, thoughts, ideas in this country, I have had honor of coming to TISS several times, speaking here, and so I'm truly delighted as well as honored to speak before the students and faculty of this institution today. I might disappoint you a little bit by initially saying about it several times. Mr. Subramanian also mentioned few of the facts, but this story is Sevagram to Shodgram, which describes our journey in the field of community health and Gadchiroli, is available on the internet. And I chose a little different topic to speak today. It had to be a health topic, but it also must cross borders with social work, because I was going to speak here. And also I didn't want to speak only about the past. I know I am known better for tribal health, reducing child mortality, and so on and so forth. But I didn't want to repeat those stories. That is past. I want to tell you something about the future. Something which is awaiting you. And so I have deliberately chosen, I have rephrased my title. So my title is Alcohol, Science of a Social Problem and the Solution. Mahatma Gandhi once said, and you can read it, if I am made a dictator of India even for one day, I shall shut down all liquor shops. Staunch support of prohibition. And Prashant Kishore from Bihar very recently said, prohibition in Bihar is a failed policy. So now we have two very contrasting positions on prohibition. And usually debate centers around whether prohibition or not. But in reality, prohibition is not the problem. Alcohol is the problem. And so the focus of discussion needs to be alcohol and not the prohibition. There is a saying, a Chinese saying, that when a wise man points his finger to the moon, people look at his finger and not to the moon. So similarly, in case of alcohol, often people get stuck in whether prohibition or not, whether choice or not. The problem is alcohol, and I deliberately chose this topic because it crosses several boundaries: medicine, public health, social work, national policies, economics, and the future of young generation. We were introduced to this problem, rather we were forced to take up this problem by women of Gadchiroli. Nearly 35 years ago, when they selected 6 priorities and told us, and one of that priority was alcohol. When we talked about medicine, health to the women of Gadchiroli, they said, Doctor, wo stethoscope zara vayu rakho, aur ye sharab ke liye kuch karo. They were so insistent that we had to forget for a while our medical profession and take up this issue. And that's how what I'm going to share you is what I have learned over a period of 35 years. And what is the current position in this. So my main messages in the lecture would be that alcohol has become a major threat to the health of population, not only of individuals, but of population. Second, alcohol has huge economic costs, negative economic costs. So it's an issue of economic development as well. 3, health science and global policy have a new position on alcohol, which most of the people do not know. And 4th, an effective approach to reduce alcohol and tobacco at the district level has emerged in Gadchiroli. So I would share those four things with you today. We'll begin with this landmark study. The Global Burden of Disease study, published. The entire issue of the Lancet was devoted to this unprecedented way. Global Burden of GBD study has used the largest amount of data ever in the history of health and public health. And they have identified several things, but one of the conclusions of GBD is that alcohol is one of the top 7 leading causes of death, disease, and disability globally. And secondly, in the age group of 15 to 49 years, the most productive age group, the youth and the young adults, in the age group of 15 to 49 years, alcohol is the number 1 cause of death. We come to the Global Status Report on Alcohol and Health by WHO 2018. We are beginning first having global view. Globally, 3 million people die each year because of alcohol. And 132 million life years are lost every year. And these are the main causes of death because of alcohol. You can see here. Of course, alcohol is responsible for 100% of alcohol use disorders, but it is responsible for 18% of suicides, 18% of interpersonal violence, 27% of traffic injuries, 13% of epilepsy, 48% of liver cirrhosis, 26% of mouth cancers, 26% of pancreatitis, so on and so forth. Alcohol is responsible for nearly 80 main major medical problems, diseases. And in India, every year the mortality caused by alcohol, nearly 3 lakh people die of alcohol every year in India. Liver cirrhosis, both amongst male and females together, kills 1,40,000 people. Road traffic injuries because of alcohol, 92,000. And cancer, mostly oral and esophageal, nearly 31,000. And so, alcohol is a major killer, but as the non-communicable diseases are increasing, mortality reflects only tip of the iceberg. Alcohol causes huge morbidity, large number of disability, and several other problems, some of which we will touch. Now look at the epidemiology of alcohol. This is in India. This is taken from WHO report on alcohol. Now, what is the prevalence of drinking? And the most recent data I could get was 2016. So we have to live with that. Now, the question asked is, did you take a drink, alcoholic drink in the past 12 months? If yes, it is included as prevalence. It is measured only plus 15, over 15 population. Now, in both the sexes combined, 39% people in India drink today, but amongst men it is 51%, amongst females it is 25%. So the number of adults in India who drink today is 390 million. 39 crore Indians now drink. And what is alcohol consumption per capita? Again, this is in the population more than 15 years. It is measured in liters of pure alcohol. So let me convert that to, for the sake of ease, 1 liter of absolute alcohol is equivalent to roughly 100 packs of drinks. So it will be easier for you to convert whenever I say, because WHO presents it in terms of liters of alcohol. Now, these are the numbers for year 2000 and 2018. And now look at the numbers. Both sexes from 2.2 liter to 5.6 liter. Multiply it by 100, so you get the number of drinks per year. But males, from 3.6 liters per year to 9.1 liters per year. And even amongst females, from 0.75 to nearly 2 liters per year. So, alcohol consumption has nearly tripled in amount consumed per capita in the 18 years. And what is the alcohol consumption amongst drinkers only? We saw earlier in the population as a whole. Amongst those who drink, again, both sexes together 14.6 liter, but females, those who drink, they drink nearly 6.6 liter per capita per year, and males, those drinking men, they drink 18 liters per capita per year. The amount of alcohol drunk by Indian, the problem doesn't originate only from the prevalence, also the absolute amount of alcohol drunk, but then there's a third dimension. Usually men or Indians drink very commonly in binge form. If they get chance, कहीं party में नहीं गया, मुफ्त में गया तो और भी अच्छा. So the binge drinking is a major issue. So the Western ideas of moderate drinking, social drinking, taking 1 or 2 drinks in the evening, that might be true in the West, which is not true, by the way. But then I'm not going into the West right now, I'm sticking to India. And so Indian people, mostly men, they drink in binge. So it increases the problem. Now, the worst form of alcohol addiction is called dependence. Alcohol abusers, harmful drinking, and dependence. These are the 3. So dependence is the most severe form of alcohol addiction. Dependence really means that your body, your brain doesn't function without having alcohol. Your brain chemistry now runs on the fuel of alcohol. So when you get up in the morning, first thing you need is not tea, but a drink. And if you don't get a drink, alcoholic drink for a few hours, you start getting tremors and withdrawal symptoms. So dependence. 7% men in India are dependent today, and 0.4% women are dependent. What does it mean in absolute term? If you turn that into number of dependent addicts, there are 40 million dependent addicts in India, 4 crore, and for every alcoholic of such severe nature, there are at least 4 family members who are completely ruined by the alcoholism of this one person. So there are additionally 160 million family members who are affected. So together, nearly 20 crore Indians are directly affected by alcohol and alcoholism. Alcohol and economic development. This is again WHO's conclusion. As societies become affluent, they exhibit a strong tendency for alcohol consumption to increase. And India is on that trajectory. Vietnam, between 2002 and 16, and we know Vietnam has been an economic miracle story during this period, prevalence of alcohol consumption increased from 46% to 77%. This is what would happen to India or is happening to India because we are on this path. Secondly, in any society, the same amount of alcohol consumption harms the poor more than the rich. And finally, alcohol damages human capital and hence the productivity. This is conclusion by World Bank working paper. And hence, alcohol is a barrier to economic development of developing countries because it harms human capital. Now let me put the economic cost of alcohol in sheer numbers. This is a paper published in International Journal of Drug Policy. This is written by the scientists from PGI Chandigarh and AIMS Delhi and NIMHANS. So scientists from very eminent institution. Health impact and economic burden of alcohol consumption in India. Now look at the numbers. Between 2011 to 2050, over a period of 40 years, they are estimating, alcohol consumption in India will lead to deaths leading to loss of nearly 26 crore life years. 258 million life years, and 550 million quality adjusted life years will be gained if alcohol consumption can be eliminated from India. Now, these are staggering numbers, but even more staggering numbers are coming. Treatment cost, as this paper estimates, treatment cost for alcohol will be 3,000 billion rupees. 3 trillion rupees of treatment cost, medical treatment cost. The total societal burden of alcohol would be 1,21,000 billion rupees. The numbers are so staggering that we can't even comprehend. If you want, you can compare it with the national health budget, which is nearly 1 lakh crore, approximately 1 lakh crore. And because government gets tax from it, so if you deduct tax income from this societal cost, still the net societal cost is 98,000 billion rupees that India is going to pay, which amounts to a loss of 1.5% of GDP. So alcohol alone costs India more than the entire health budget of government of India. There are other costs, of course. There is productivity loss. The person who is alcoholic or even often not alcoholic but milk drinker, productivity reduces. There is harm to others. I am driving vehicle, I can be harmful to you. Whether true or false, we don't know. But that story of Salman Khan driving and killing 8 people sleeping on the footpath of Bombay. It distorts elections. Alcohol is money, is a poison. Elections at the grassroots are primarily driven by the alcohol money. And on the eve of the voting, men are given huge amounts of drink so that they vote not in senses. It causes addiction to the state government, which I come to that, tax addiction. Most important for me, and why women have virtually insisted that we should take up this issue, is safety and participation of women. Nirvaya Khan, all of you have read that story, you have read those gruesome description, but you might have probably missed the last line of that story. And that last line was, those who perpetrated crime were under the influence of alcohol. And most of the news about rape or killing of women, if you read, you will usually find this last line. So alcohol has not only health consequences, economic consequences, productivity consequences, political consequences, and it makes women unsafe. Their dignity is at stake, their safety. They become victim of violence, and so their participation in the public spaces naturally increases. I'll just remind, because this generation may not really know this episode, I am going to very briefly touch upon. KPS Gill, very highly decorated police officer, who is credited for controlling the Khalsa movement, terrorism in Punjab. In a party given by governor to celebrate that victory, KPS Gill, the main hero of that party, he got so drunk that he pinched the buttocks of another senior IAS officer in the same governor's party. So even a senior IAS officer woman, in the presence of state governor, in the governor house, is not safe if alcohol is being served around. So women's participation, free participation, safe participation, is impossible from governors to the village level. In the Gram Sabhas, women cannot speak because they are afraid any drunk man can insult her, and if she is insulted publicly, she has no face to show in the village. Alcohol prevents women from participation. So, though I am not focusing on tobacco in this lecture just for the sake of focusing on one issue, but tobacco and alcohol, which were looked at like pleasure goods, in 50s and 60s when I was student, in every Hindi film, the hero and the villain both always used to have cigarette in their fingers or in mouth. So tobacco was so common in India. Alcohol we have already seen. People usually say that ये क्या है इसमें जो शौक का है मामला खुशी होती है pleasure होता है. These are no longer pleasure goods, but they are modern cholera and plague, causing poverty, disease, death, and violence against people. So society probably time has come that we need to have a re-look at these so-called pleasure goods. Are they really pleasure goods? What are their consequences? What the nation and what the women are paying for this? The question still remains. I'm not going to ask you, but if I would have asked you that how many of you drink, I'll not ask you that embarrassing question, don't worry. But if I ask you, I'm sure several hands would go up. And not because you are alcoholic, but because it's a common thing now in educated class, in the student community, in the academic community, in the middle class, upper middle class, everywhere, to drink. So why do India's policymakers and urban elite do not know or realize this, that alcohol is a modern plague or cholera? I'm going to discuss 3 myths about alcohol. And these I'll discuss purely from scientist point of view and not as a social worker or social activist. First myth, that alcohol is a stimulant. It is not. Now you would certainly argue कि आपको क्या पता हमने पी के देखा है बहुत अच्छा you feel in your brain are depressed. Pharmacology, and this I am saying to you as a science of pharmacology, that alcohol has a depressing effect on the brain. But what does it depress? The most important system human brain evolves over a period of time, both for protecting yourself and protecting others in your interest, is discretion, control, sanyam, vivek. It's like brake of your vehicle. Now, if brake of your vehicle breaks, your speed will be very high, you will feel very elevated and stimulated. Alcohol knocks down this vivek, discretion. It controls which both biology and your family samskar, your education, social education, everything really puts you inside your brain from the childhood. That you can't misbehave with others. You can't commit violence against others. You can't really drive beyond a particular speed. All those things are depressed. So alcohol actually is a brain depressant. This is science. This is pure science. It depresses your ability to think. It depresses your discretion. It makes your brakes in the brain dysfunctional, so you feel that you are elevated. Now you are only accelerator, no brake. What happens to a vehicle with only accelerator and no brakes? You know. So alcohol is a depressant and not stimulant. That's number one. Number two, the common argument, maybe it's our personal free choice. We are free to make your choice. Yes, you are. But alcohol takes away that choice from you. Because after you take first drink of alcohol, then who is making the next decision? Not you. Alcohol is making the next decision. Alcohol influences your brain. It creates its own demand. Your discretion has been shut down. So that actually alcohol takes away your freedom of choice. When you drink, you sacrifice your capacity to make free choice. There is no free choice to drink. This is absolute myth that drinking is my free choice. Drinking really is sacrificing your free choice. Because then you don't make the choice, alcohol makes the choice. And third, moderate drinking is beneficial for health. Again, this is a common belief, but let me tell you, this is a myth. 7 studies in 90s published in scientific journals showed that mild to moderate drinking, and it was defined as women drinking up to 2 pegs per day and men drinking up to 3 to 5 pegs per day. That was called moderate drinking. Moderate drinking reduced cardiovascular mortality. Subsequent reviews and meta-analysis and analysis of the data of the same studies revealed several facts. Number one, that out of these 7 studies, 6 were financed by alcohol industry. Second, they found that alcohol reduced cardiovascular mortality, but it increased brain hemorrhage mortality, cancer mortality, suicide and accident mortality. So total mortality increased. So if you want to die early but not because of heart disease, you want to die because of cancer or suicide, yes, they drink. And then worse, subsequently they found that even this protective effect of heart disease was not universal. It was true only for Caucasian men in the age group of 35 to 50. Only 10% of world population belongs to this category. In 90% of the population, even that heart benefit, cardiovascular benefit is also untrue. So in fact then, alcohol has got no health protective effect. And as we began with that statement, that it is one of the top 7 causes causing death, disease and disability. Look at this study published in the Lancet. It shows the risk of all-cause mortality, risk of death, and they have analyzed 40,000 deaths. So this is alcohol consumption, grams per week. So more the alcohol consumption per week, higher is the mortality. But the message is hidden here. 200 grams lesser mortality, 100 grams still lesser mortality, even 50 grams there is a little mortality, and it becomes the lowest at the level of no drinking. So lesser the amount of drink, lesser is the mortality, and this finally settles to the baseline 0 level at the level of no drink. And so the Lancet wrote an editorial that no level of alcohol consumption improves health. The only safe level of consumption is 0 consumption. This is what I want to report to you, that the position of science on alcohol is changing, has changed, already changed. And the WHO Assembly draft resolution, of which Government of India is also a part of it, it aims to reduce the harmful use of alcohol by 20% by 2030. This is 2024. We have only 6 years left to reduce alcohol by 20%, which is of course not going to happen in India. And harmful use of alcohol, which WHO aims to reduce, is defined. I'm going to only come to this last line. It is drinking that causes detrimental health and social consequences. Social consequences for the drinker and to the people around the drinker and the society at large. So this is not merely an issue of personal choice, because this particular choice has got consequences not only to you, but to your family, to others, to your employer, the other people walking on the road. Suppose you are sitting in an aeroplane, and aeroplane is going to take off. Would you like your pilot to be drunk? No. Would you like your driver to be drunk? No. If I take you on the operation table, prepare you for surgery, abdomen is now open, spirit is applied, and now I have my scalpel in my hand and I am having alcoholic tremors. Would you like me to operate on you? So there are consequences to others. It's not the choice of that pilot or driver or that surgeon whether he or she should drink. Other people are going to get harmed. So like in the field of smoking, this principle of passive smoking, that smoking by one person, but if it causes harm to others, then you can get compensation. That compensation is not legally given in India, but the principle was established substance is harmful not only if it harms you, but if it harms others also. Alcohol has got third party damage. So question is, as a policy question, global policy, national policy, social policy, how can alcohol harm be reduced? I'm just going to take again few data points. APC's annual per capita consumption of alcohol. Now, we already saw in WHO data that India's per capita consumption of alcohol is 5.6 liters, males and females combined together, for the whole population, drinker, non-drinker, everybody. There are countries like Myanmar, Sri Lanka, who are a little less, but Nepal, 2 liters, Indonesia, 0.8 liters, Bhutan, 0.6 liters, and Pakistan, 0.2 liters, and Bangladesh. So there are countries around us, and this is WHO data. This is not that country's own data. It could be manufactured country's own data. But this is WHO data. WHO has got an alcohol reporting system, global alcohol reporting system. It reports nation by nation alcohol consumption in the society. So right around us, there are several countries who have reduced alcohol consumption to 2 liters or less than 2 liters. And then WHO statistical report, it lists 27 countries. I'm not going to list those countries here, but 27 countries where per capita alcohol consumption per year is less than 1 liter. This is impossible. This is not only issue of Gujarat or Bihar where there is prohibition. 27 countries have almost negligible alcohol consumption. How did they achieve? It will be worth studying. If we want to shape India policy for India, no point in saying it's impossible to stop people drinking alcohol. 27 countries have. It is the government policy about alcohol, and it is the culture of the country. And third, social norms, whether social norms permit drinking or not, these factors decide the per capita alcohol consumption in the country. There is another solution. So my point was that it is possible to reduce alcohol consumption at the national level. Another solution offered is increase the taxation and price of the alcohol, and this is true. Increasing taxes and increasing prices reduces alcohol consumption at least for some time. Later on, people get used to, like petrol prices, when they increase, we stop or we reduce driving vehicles, but then few we forget and go back to the original consumption. The problem, another problem with tax is governments get tax addiction. And I'm just going to share only one figure from the Reserve Bank of India. The total tax on alcohol, which is collected by various state governments, because excise on alcohol is the state government's domain. So various state governments in India collected 1,75,000 crore rupees as tax on alcohol. So state governments are slaves of alcohol tax because they don't have other major sources. They heavily depend on alcohol tax, so they go on increasing alcohol tax. In one debate on television, when I alleged that government of Maharashtra was earning, and this was nearly 7-8 years ago, that was earning 15,000 crore rupees from alcohol taxation every year. So the Minister of Excise, Mr. Eknath Khadse, immediately corrected me. No, Dr. Ban, you are understating. We earn 22,000 crores. So this is Reserve Bank telling us state governments are heavily dependent on alcohol money. So forget about the all consequences and health problems and social problems and domestic violence on the now. The third approach is restrict the physical availability and consumption of alcohol. Prohibition has become a dirty word, so I don't want to use it. But then limiting the alcohol availability and consumption, several countries have tried it. Now, it is partly effective. It's not 100% effective. It is partly effective, but it results into one problem. Now, for example, in India, these several states have either complete or partial prohibition Some states have prohibition for some time in the history. But in most of these states, though the alcohol availability decreased, the illicit alcohol increased. So the often made statement in several drawing rooms and evening talks and around dinner tables is that there is a loose social talk. People then usually make this kind of statement as if they are very informed. This वो क्या होता है शराबबंदी से तो शराब बंद होती है illicit alcohol बढ़ जाती है बल्कि net alcohol society में बढ़ जाती है have they ever measured it? These are as ill-informed lay opinions as any ignorant person can make. So I am going to share with you, can alcohol prohibition reduce violence against women as well as alcohol consumption itself? Now this study is published in very prestigious journal, American Economic Review. It is conducted by 3 scientists, one from Harvard University, another from University of Pennsylvania, and third from World Bank. So international experts. They use Government of India's data, not their own data. They use NFHS data and they use National Crime Bureau's data about alcohol consumption and about crime against women. They got opportunity because in some states earlier there was no prohibition, but prohibition was introduced, like Bihar. In some states there was prohibition, but it was repealed. So, what is the net effect of either introducing prohibition or removing prohibition? Their conclusions are based on Government of India's data, but they have analyzed to answer this question. Their 2 conclusions are: prohibition alone reduced alcohol consumption by 40% in that state. Net consumption. So that statement कि prohibition से illicit alcohol बढ़ के total alcohol consumption बढ़ जाता है, this ill-informed statement. Actually, even if government doesn't do anything else, only introduces prohibition, still the alcohol consumption goes down by 40%. And second, that violence against women reduced by 4,000 episodes per 1 lakh population. This is huge. Crime against women, violence against women drastically reduced if there is prohibition. Now, as if women in Gadchiroli knew all this, whatever data that I shared with you, they knew it 35 years earlier than the international experts, and Aayog came to know these facts. So when we went to Rani and I went to Gadchiroli, lived there and started working in 80s, mid-80s, and we started a health worker. As I said in the beginning, women would repeatedly insist कि डॉक्टर वो आपका स्टेथो और दवाई बाजू में रखिए. Our main problem is our men drink. Can you do something for it? And just because of their pressure, we took up that issue. And the Gadchiroli story, which I am going to share now with you, is an example as to what can happen in entire district on the issue of alcohol. It's a story less of medical, almost no medical story. It's all entirely social work story. So there are 3 phases. Phase 1, movement against alcohol, which I'll briefly tell you about, 87 to 93. Phase 2, de-addiction of individuals who are addict, almost 20 years. And phase 3, which is currently going on, is this program called Mukti Path, which is an integrated approach to reduce alcohol and tobacco in the entire district. We started in 2016 and still going on. Now, where is Gadchiroli? Those of you who are from Maharashtra would naturally know where the Gadchiroli is, but yet those who do not know, nearly 1,000 kilometers from Bombay is this red district Gadchiroli. It is red in every sense. Gadchiroli is still backward. Paddy cultivation is the main occupation. 60% land is covered by forest. 40% population are tribal people. 60% are non-tribal rural people. And people collect mahua, which is in abundance in the forest. They dry it and they use it both as fruit, as fodder, and as also as raw material for producing alcohol. When Rani and I started going to villages and sitting around night and talking to people, we were asking them what their health problems were, and as I said, women would insist on something else. And this rapidly resulted in went out of our control. We couldn't stop it. We were reluctant as medical doctors. We were not very keen to lead a political movement. But we were good at this. They forced upon us this role, and very rapidly a movement against alcoholism, as if they just wanted us to be present. They needed some support, little support of some educated people, and if doctors feel better, with better credibility. This movement against alcohol rapidly spread in the district. We formed a coalition in the district of all parties. It became such a powerful movement that for 6 years the entire politics in the district revolved around one single question: whether alcohol or no alcohol. All three MLAs from the district and the member of parliament all were forced by people to sign this plea that they supported movement against alcohol. And finally, government of Maharashtra considered our demand of our movement and cancelled all commercial licenses to sell alcohol in this state in 1993. But the law permitted traditional home brewing and communal drinking by the tribal people. And this is in consonance with the constitution, where tribal cultural practices have been provided protection. So the Bombay Prohibition Act does permit this, that in spite of prohibition in any area in Maharashtra, tribal people will be permitted to individually do home brewing or communally do brewing and do communal drinking, but no commercial sale of liquor. So with 40% population being tribal and Mahua being abundantly available, but this was legally permitted. So prohibition in Gadchiroli was in a way a partial prohibition. Only 60 commercial shops were shut down. People were permitted to home brew and drink. So the remaining challenge was how to reduce this illicit alcohol, which naturally became more prevalent because everything now, because commercial alcohol was banned, traditional use was prevalent, and the illicit alcohol crossing the border increased. So the question was how to reduce this. Now this is a question faced by every state government which has introduced prohibition. Whether Bihar, whether Gujarat, even Kerala has introduced partial prohibition. If I am not wrong, probably Mizoram has got prohibition. So there are several states in India where there is a statewide prohibition. But the reports from everywhere, we began with that statement from Prashant Kishore that prohibition in Bihar is a failed policy. Why? Because illicit alcohol increases. But nobody bothers to measure whether the total amount of alcohol decrease or increase, which as we saw, 40% reduction occurs. So, but this challenge remained in Gadchiroli about illicit alcohol and traditional use of alcohol. In 2015-16, we did a district sample survey. I'll not go into details of it, but fortunately, we have mastery over sample surveys. So, very systematic, multi-stage, random cluster selected, and random sample survey. We estimated that in 15-16, prevalence of use of alcohol was 41% amongst men. Women practically do not drink in Gadchiroli, so you can't ask any woman, go to her home and say, I want to ask questions, do you drink? She'll take it as an affront. And so 41% men drank in spite of the prohibition. And so we make an indirect estimate that before prohibition, 68% men must be drinking. From 68%, there is a 40% reduction. And so in 2015-16, 41% men drank. Which means estimated 1,58,000 men drank in Gadchiroli. An annual out-of-pocket expenditure for purchasing alcohol was 82 crores rupees. And so this social movement was started called Mukti Path. And we combined both tobacco and alcohol. As I said in the beginning, I deliberately did not go into tobacco because it's fairly accepted that tobacco is harmful. So I wanted to share with you modern science about alcohol. But with this project, both tobacco and alcohol, both problems are addressed. And it is towards alcohol and tobacco free Gadchiroli district, a program for health and economic development. Because by our baseline estimate, people spend 298 crore rupees per year on tobacco and alcohol. And Gadchiroli is one of the poorest districts in Maharashtra. At that time, the district development plan, annual district development plan was of 156 crore rupees, and people spent on tobacco from their own pocket 298 crore rupees every year. So it's an issue of not only health but economic development also. The aim of Mukti Path, we stated, to reduce the prevalence of use of alcohol and tobacco and to reduce the money spent on purchasing these two products. I had a meeting with the then Chief Minister, now he is Deputy Chief Minister, Mr. Fadnavis. I had a long meeting. I shared with him the findings of this baseline survey. And thanks to him, there have been cancer cases in his family. So he is very sensitive about cancer. So he accepted that if there is a plan to control alcohol and tobacco, he will support it. And so we presented before him the plan of Mukti Path, which I will share with you. And he agreed to support it. That's how Mukti Path project. And government created by way of a GR a structure for implementing Mukti Path as a district pilot, in which there is a state level task force of 6 ministers and 6 secretaries. Chief Minister is the chairman, and I am the advisor of the state task force. Underneath, the only district we have chosen is Gadchiroli. So basically, this task force is created for Gadchiroli. Collector, Gadchiroli is the chairman, and we have created a Mukti Path district team, and then from downwards, taluka committees, gram panchayat committees, and at the village level, Gaon Sangathan that we have started, Mukti Path Gaon Sangathan. So there is a structure from state level to the village and supply reduction. For demand reduction, mass awareness, so that people understand harmful effects of alcohol, and then de-addiction, those who are already addicted, but we are implementing de-addiction only for alcohol. For tobacco, it is impossible. For supply reduction, community action. And this is the main instrument we have used, social action instrument. Community getting organized and deciding that there will not be alcohol or tobacco in our village. Community getting organized and deciding that there will not be alcohol or tobacco in our village. 4 pillars of implementation. This is our team of Mukti Path. Nearly 35 workers, mostly social workers, MSWs from different parts of Maharashtra, mostly from the eastern part of Vidarbha. And this team at the district level and 3 persons at each block, 12 blocks of Gadchiroli have been implementing this Mukti Path Abhiyan. First strategy, awareness generation. Obviously, I don't have to tell you the importance of it. Tobacco and alcohol. What are the ill effects? How to get rid of them? And what action at the personal level and the community level you can do. Enforcement of the government policy. Fortunately for us, and as you must know, that tobacco products are banned in Maharashtra. After the Home Minister of Maharashtra, Mr. R.R. Patil, developed oral cancer because of chewing gutka, and unfortunately he died. And Mr. Sharad Pawar also developed oral cancer. State government took this issue seriously, and though I don't remember the year, but somewhere around 2010 or 12, gutka and scented tobacco products are banned in Maharashtra. So same in Gadchiroli. So now Gadchiroli has got legally commercial alcohol sale banned, scented tobacco products are banned, but its implementation at the government level is very poor. So the women which we have organized in the villages, if they want to take police help for stopping illicit alcohol in their village. They go to police thana. We give them training how to approach police. Women in actually are very afraid of police because police are known for police and Naxalite conflicts. But to bring in a human element in that, we started celebrating Raksha Bandhan, Rakhi with Khaki. So on every Raksha Bandhan, women from villages go and tie Rakhi to the police. And now police, though they are police, they are after all human beings. And these are single men who live alone in the forest in some police thana, constantly under the risk of threat by Naxalites. So you can imagine their psychology. They are away from their family, they are insecure. And some woman coming from a village, a known woman, but tying Rakhi. It could move any man. And so women establish a emotional relationship of being sister of the police. And in return of Rakhi, she asks, stop alcohol in my village, protect my husband from alcohol. But the most important instrument is community empowerment and community vigilance. Now, under the PESA Act, Panchayat Extension to Scheduled Areas, Tribal Areas Act, the PESA Act permits village community Gram Sabha to make decision about what to do about alcohol and tobacco. So they have constitutional right to make decisions about use or not use of alcohol. So we organize village councils, we organize village women to pass resolutions against tobacco and alcohol and ban alcohol and tobacco use in their village. We organize women for that Gaon Sangathan, and this is one such village organization in a village in a hairy block of Gadchiroli. Here, women and some youth in the village, they are undertaking, and we call this ahimsa kriti, though you see a danda in their hand, but to distinguish and to make these people safe from being alleged to be Naxalites, we call this ahimsa kriti. So this is ahimsa kriti by village community against any illicit alcohol being brewed or sold in the village. Here there is a news, a particular village, Daruchi Holi. They burnt the alcohol, illicit alcohol in the village. And there are several villages who have become nasha mukta. They have stopped both alcohol as well as tobacco in their village. So in one such village, we are felicitating the village chief. And the fourth strategy is de-addiction, mostly only against alcohol. We run 12 taluka clinic plus one referral hospital, dental clinic. But we also organize community level de-addiction camps. Because whatever you do, addicts don't come to an institution or clinics alone. And by our estimation, there are 30,000 alcohol addicts, not only drinkers, but addicts in the district. So nearly 900 community level camps have been conducted and 11,000 alcoholics have been treated. This is one view of a village level de-addiction camp. Now this process has spilled beyond alcohol and tobacco. In this election, voters, people asked all candidates contesting for parliamentary seat to commit in writing and video recording that we will not distribute alcohol before the day of voting and that we will support prohibition whether we get elected or not get elected, but we will support prohibition. And 85,000 voters signed the pledge that we won't vote for the candidate who doesn't sign this particular pledge. And so there is a powerful democratic force from below now. Politicians know that large number of lakhs of villagers in Gadchiroli support prohibition, and a candidate who either drinks or who supports free availability of alcohol will lose in Gadchiroli. So in a way, this movement against alcohol and tobacco, Muktipat, is also really becoming a Muktipat for political cleansing. Now, in very brief, what is the impact? impact we are measuring in three ways. One is, what is the village status? So we classify now current village status in 2023. This is the latest village status that we have. Out of 1500 villages in Gadchiroli, there is no alcohol sale or drinking in nearly 700 villages, 47%. Village organizations have been formed and they are still trying to stop alcohol, but they are not being able to successful. 355 villages. There are tribal villages where home brewing is permitted, but no sale of alcohol is permitted. Another 360, 24%. And villages which continue to sell illicit alcohol, not only in their own village, but to the villages around, 36 villages. So the huge shift has occurred from 1500 villages drinking alcohol every day. Now nearly half of them are free of alcohol. In other villages, nearly 25% are drying. Now what is the prevalence of consumption and money spent on it? So annually we conduct district sample survey in the very same manner, very same questionnaire, very same methodology of sample survey. Annually, we have been conducting district sample surveys. From 2015-16 was the baseline, and every year. Now look at the estimates from that. In 2015, this is prevalence of alcohol consumption in men in Gadchiroli. In 2015, as I reported earlier, 41% men drank. In 2023, it has come down to 27%. So from 41% to 21% is nearly 33% reduction. But then, if you compare that with India, where 51% men drink, and Gadchiroli being a tribal district, higher number of people who drink. So as compared to India, it's almost 50% reduction. And as compared to the estimated baseline, that before prohibition, 68% men in Gadchiroli drank. So if you combine the net effect of prohibition and Muktipat from 68% to 27%. So that is nearly 60% reduction in the prevalence of alcohol consumption. Out of pocket expenditure, money spent on purchasing alcohol. So in 2015, 82 crore rupees. In 2021, that is the last estimate we have, it is 40 crore rupees. Nearly half. But then, during this period from 15 to 21, in Maharashtra there has been annually 8% increase in alcohol sale. So if we estimate that if there was no Muktipat and there was annual 8% increase from 15 to 21, then the net consumption, that money spent on alcohol would have been 130 crore rupees. Instead, it is 40 crore rupees. And so gains of Muktipat can be summed up as, look, the program expenditure is 2 crore rupees per year, but the benefits from program, saving for directly for the people, out of pocket expenditure, alcohol, tobacco, which has reduced, it is 83 crore rupees. If you correct this number by taking into account inflation, then it is 233 crore rupees per year. Now, I do not know any other social welfare or social development or economic development program where the cost benefit ratio is this. 2 crore expenditure, 233 crore rupees saving. 100 times more saving. There is no parallel, no comparison to this kind of cost benefit ratio. And then apart from saving of money, there are other benefits like health improvement, women's safety, men's productivity, organized villages, and strengthening of democracy at the base. And finally, because of Muktipat, a new approach to reduce alcohol and tobacco in population is emerging. To my knowledge, this is the only and the first such district level pilot in India, which has integrated these two problems, which has integrated 4 strategies, which has brought together people, social organization like mine, search, and government together and achieved this. Modern world faces much more difficult pandemic of non-communicable disease. That is the significance of and Gadchiroli. Communicable diseases, fortunately, are gradually getting reduced. Non-communicable diseases are increasing. The problem with non-communicable diseases is legally there is no cure. They are lifelong diseases, very costly treatments, diabetes, hypertension, stroke, heart disease, cancer, etc. And tobacco and alcohol are among the top causes of non-communicable disease. And together they cost 2.5% of GDP per year. They can be reduced by a composite approach, as we saw, multiple. It has multiple gains. It is highly cost effective, can substantially reduce health poverty, income poverty, and gender inequality. Now, where are we? This is what we learned from Gadchiroli, Muktipat experiment. Global and national, it is imperative really that human beings, human societies, nations, policies, global policies, they reduce alcohol and tobacco. Science is now almost unanimous that tobacco and alcohol harm and zero consumption is the safest level. And UN bodies and sustainable development goals have included controlling harm caused by alcohol and tobacco in their SDGs, target 3.5, and actually they acknowledge because they say that the alcohol reduction, harm caused by alcohol, reducing that would contribute to several other SDGs target as well. So the question is, science has given its clear verdict. The field action program in Muktipat in Gadchiroli has also given clear verdict. When will science reflect in policy and in the practice? And forget globally, when will it reflect in India? Now this is domain of social policy and social work. And by social work, I don't mean only de-addiction and counseling. De-addiction and counseling, just imagine, I didn't present here, but the Muktipat approach has reduced 56,000 men have quit alcohol consumption. Individual de-addiction approach would have never achieved it. And so we need an approach which addresses to the entire population. So we need policies, but we also need community organizations, organized movements and actions against alcohol and its ill effects. Now I am very fortunate that today I had this occasion to speak before you in the conference on field work for social work. In the morning, I was listening to some of the lectures. And then it's mere coincidence, I didn't design it, it happened so, that in Muktipat, 2 years ago, we have created an opportunity to learn field work, to do field work for the students, for the MSWs. With me is Mr. Tushar Khorgade. Tushar is a trained social worker. His two daughters recently graduated, they completed MSWs from GISS. So he's a proud father of two daughters, social workers. So he heads a new initiative that we have started called Spark. What is Spark? Look, there are several programs, social programs, movements, NGOs, and social actions in field don't have trained social workers. Social workers who are coming out of colleges don't have field experience. And today's education models are inadequate. They don't give opportunity to handle challenges in the field and learn by doing. So we have tried to answer these three challenges in one go by designing this program called Spark. Spark is a social program against addiction in rural communities. Acronym Spark. And the motto is And this is for mostly it's for any graduate, any postgraduate, but mostly for those who have completed their MSW and they want to learn community organization, community action, field action, social political action at the grassroots. For them, the motto is work, earn, learn, and get a PG diploma. Spark PG diploma is recognized by Gondwana University, and so it's a 1-year program which takes up mostly MSWs who have desire to now have learned theory, but I am not so sure about practical field work, so I want to learn how to work in the field. In a way, it's after post-graduation, it is 1 year learning opportunity, and we also give stipend. We give 10,000 rupees stipend during this period, and at the end you get university diploma. But mind you, it's a hard work. It is not desk work. It's only 10% desk work. It is going to villages, meeting people, organizing people, holding night meetings, sometimes protests, various social development programs in the villages, meeting police, de-addiction camps, and sometimes even non-violent action against alcohol. So I can assure you that 1 year of direct field experience in SPAR will really complete your training in the case. The excellent theoretical and some field exposure that you have got in the case will be very, very completed in this program like SPAR. Tomorrow, I may meet some of you to discuss further about it. And so I'll stop here. Friends, I am very, very grateful to the GISS and to Mr. M.Subramanian for creating this occasion. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful presentation. I would now very quickly open the lecture for question and answers, and I would like to request Professor Bipin Jojo to chair this session.
I think it was amazing lecture, very befitting to this M.Subramanian lecture, and very, very insightful. So let's have a few questions, comments. We will not have longer time for the questions, comments, but probably we can take a couple of questions and comments from the audience to if any one of us would like to know a little more or some clarification. I think we can take up some questions from that. Yes.
Good evening, everybody. People say that अगर इसमें एडमिशन मिल जाएगा तो बढ़िया आपको मिलेगा, अगर नौकरी मिल जाएगा तो बढ़िया इंटरनेशनल ऑफिस मिलेगा, लेकिन कॉन्फ्रेंस में भी आएगा तो ऐसे वाला एंडोमेंट लेक्चर्स का आपको मिलेगा. So I'm so delighted and thankful to Dr. Abhiya Bhai for enlightening us with very, very important aspect that is basically it's the need of the hour, not only to the state of Maharashtra, but to the entire nation. Thank you very much for your wonderful talks.
Any hands? There are a couple of 2-3 hands behind.
Thank you for the very interesting work and the lecture, sir. Sir, I wanted to know, was there any opposition from the husbands when women did the protest against the alcohol and ban on the alcohol? And how did women, the community dealt with this, if there was any opposition from the men? and especially those who are alcoholics?
Look, the answer is not clearly yes or no. It was and it wasn't. Men who drink, if you ask them when they are not drunk, they usually say, "We want to quit it." But क्या करें, कम वक्त आदत ऐसी है. So, even men who drink, many of them want to quit. We didn't create deliberately, strategically, we didn't create divide men versus women, because then fight becomes very difficult. And so, though our main force is women in the village, but we organize Gram Sabha, in which men are also part of Gram Sabha. And there is a resolution passed by Gram Sabha, including men. And actually, men make the majority, they attend Gram Sabha more frequently than women. So, in this community decision, even men are. And the collective wisdom of the community tells them that it is harmful for them individually to their families. It will be good if the alcohol availability in the village stops. Even I get rid of it. So now there will be 10, 20, 25 hard addicts who would still oppose it. They would oppose it publicly, but they would oppose it by their behavior. They'll continue to look for where the illicit alcohol is available. Initially, we used to punish them by way of public humiliation, but then we soon realized that they are victims, they are patients, they are chemical slaves. So now, as I described, we provide de-addiction treatment and counseling to them. In spite of our best efforts of reaching out to village by village, nearly 900 villages we have had camps and 11,000 addicts have been treated. There is no 100% success in de-addiction, as you all know. And so then again treatment. But that has prevented this fight becoming man against woman. This is not fight of husband against wife. This is a joint fight of the family and the village community together to get rid of this alcohol and tobacco. In case of tobacco, I must admit, I did not talk about tobacco, but women also consume tobacco in large proportion. And so we have not been able to organize against tobacco so much as we have been able to do against alcohol.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, my question is towards, I don't want to comment on your lecture because it was very much mind-blowing and inspiring. My question is like towards the illicit alcohol making at the household, which is a part of tribal culture. If we go with the law enforcement, it will be against tribal culture. So how we will tackle that? And I want to ask about the myth also. Like often people say like the homemade alcohol is better or good for health. So I want to know about that.
Last question first. No alcohol is good. So whether homemade or factory made or Vijay Mallya made, all alcohol is harmful. And this is not Abhay Bang speaking, this is the Lancet and WHO and global burden of disease study speaking. So every alcohol is bad. Legal or illegal are labels through the lens of law. Alcohol remains same. And so alcohol is harmful, whether government permits it or whether it is without government permit. That's number one. The poisonous alcohol is a different thing. Sometimes to give more kick, they add some other chemicals and it becomes poisonous. But that's an entirely different issue. Now, your question about traditional drinking is not illicit. It is legally permitted and it is socially permitted. So you can't stop it legally. Law also allows it for tribal people to consume alcohol and home brew. So the method there is that in a tribal village, if you, after a lot of awareness and community action, if Gram Sabha passes a resolution, a tribal Gram Sabha passes a resolution, then henceforth we will not permit alcohol brewing and consumption in our village. Under the PESA Act, tribal Gram Sabhas have this legal right to make community decision. So they make that sort of decision and they enforce. But as I said, those who are addicts for them we offer treatment rather than punishment. Not only allowed, it should be encouraged. And Mahila Gram Sabhas have right to pass resolution against alcohol. So either Mahila Gram Sabha or total tribal Gram Sabha, they pass resolution against alcohol. They decide that it will not be produced in the village, it will not be consumed. And if somebody does it, they decide that it will not be produced in the village, it will not be consumed. And if somebody does it, they decide what punishment.
Through this intervention.
Look, this is a very, very sort of an imaginary situation. But you need to be ready that except for Christianity, every religion in the world, it preaches against alcohol. Islam preaches, Christianity preaches, Buddhism preaches, Jainism preaches, and even Hinduism preaches. So practically every religion really advises against alcohol.
So, sir, in your interventions, do you leverage that?
No, we don't really. We don't leverage that much. Because as I said, 40% community is tribal. तो उनको तो हिंदू मुसलमान किसी से कुछ लेना देना नहीं है. There, if at all, we use other the Gond community which resides there. Their original founder is called Kuparlingo, Pari Kuparlingo. They consider him as their founder. So Pari Kuparlingo has advised against alcohol. So we use Pari Kuparlingo's messages as even the Gond founder of the Gond religion. They call it Koitor religion. So founder of the Koitor religion has advised against alcohol. So we make use of that. But we don't really make much use of other religious appeals.
Great, sir, and finally salute to you for what you have done, because that's what I assume a social worker is supposed to do, and what social action you have brought, it inspires me, and at the same time the people who are the future social workers who are sitting in this room. So salute to you. Thank you.
Thank you. And the last sentence that you say, that it will inspire the future social worker. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, okay, last question.
Yes. So I just wanted to ask, so you mentioned Mukti Park being a pilot project in Gadchiroli district. My question is there a plan underway to implement the same in other districts of Maharashtra? And if there are, in your opinion and experience, are there any challenges that you think would come up in other districts? That's it.
Very good question. Look, Mukti Park presupposes that there is a ban on commercial sale of alcohol in the district. Today in Maharashtra, such ban exists only in Gadchiroli and Wardha district. So if at all, it can be extended only to the Wardha district. Now there has to be local demand. Mukti Park was designed in Gadchiroli because we had been working there for the past 30 years on this issue. There was strong local grassroots movement against it, and we had evidence, strong evidence also. We have proposed it to the state government to extend Mukti Park-like approach to other districts, which now is only Wardha district, but it demands political will. It demands that there has to be a strong local grassroots organization in Wardha comparable to Search in Gadchiroli. So I don't immediately foresee that it will be extended to other districts, though I would wish. And that's why we are creating this evidence. This model is not only for Gadchiroli, but we believe that this could be very much applicable to Bihar, where there is a prohibition. Chief Minister is a strong supporter of prohibition, but they are facing this issue of illicit alcohol. To me, I have gone and studied prohibition implementation in Bihar. They have not implemented the other components which Mukti Park gave. So I would say that Gujarat, Bihar, Mizoram, Kerala, there are several states. And if one can show that prohibition can be made effective by post-prohibition action program, then probably societies will be more open to thinking about whether you use the word prohibition or legal ban. Current argument is that prohibition तो fail हो जाती है, illicit alcohol बढ़ जाता है, तो फिर क्यों करें? Plus state का revenue भी जाता है, तो it's loss on either side. That's the current usual argument. Gadchiroli provides evidence that no, it doesn't fail. And prohibition plus Mukti Park have been able to reduce alcohol by 60% total. which is not 100% success. But as you know, no social problem is solved 100%. Whether rape or crime against women or theft or murders or political corruption, which is solved 100%. So if we can reduce a problem by 60%, it's a great victory.
Thank you, sir.
We have the last, I saw 3 hands, very brief, and I think we'll take all these 3 together and request Dr. Ban to respond together. But make it very brief, 3 hands I saw here. Yeah, okay.
Very quick observation because of the time constraint. You have looked at the data. Basically, to make this point, is intervention has an impact on the prevalence of alcohol consumption. So my point is that the national level consumption that you have showed, the prevalence, around 42%. But if you look at the NFH, the National Family Health Survey data 1921, because your data pertains to 2023. It is 19% amongst the country. It has to be same basically. That's one thing. Is it how do you calculate the prevalence also? Is it the reported data? Because there is an issue of underreporting as well as over-reporting. How do you tackle with that issue? Did you also look at the excise department's data? This will strengthen the case basically. Which data? Excise department's data. Because this is reported data, so there is an issue with that. Thank you. And also the other point is from the NFH's 4 to 5. Nationally, there has been a decline of 7 percentage points. And what do you attribute to that? Basically? Thank you.
I'll answer it usually, otherwise questions will get mixed. Oh, okay, very good questions, and questions of science and measurement. One is that the 51% men in India drink. This is WHO estimate. This is not our study. This is WHO estimate. Now, this estimate is very different than NFH's estimate that you just quoted. That's why I explained.
WHO is the source. What's the source of the data that you're referring to? No, this is WHO.
WHO report on alcohol. There is a report on alcohol, and WHO every year publishes on website. On website, they publish data about each country's.
They get the data from the country only, from the ministry.
Yes, but
They have conducted independent survey.
Look, I do not know what is the source of WHO.
That's important.
World Health Organization has got Alcohol Information Service, as they call it, Alcohol Information System, and it is global. And for every country, they make estimates. Now, same question can be asked about Pakistan, Bangladesh, everything. So your question is legitimate. But right now, I am going back only to some statement that this is WHO data. Now, how does it differ from NFH's estimate? Now, I do not know, but one possible explanation is, if you look at the NFH's question, the NFH's question about alcohol is, did you drink alcohol in the past 15 days? While the WHO question is, did you drink alcohol in the past 12 months? And that's why one could get grossly different prevalence estimates, because the question asked is for different period. So prevalence is defined differently in NFH's and in WHO data. WHO report mentions as to what is their question, as to how do they ask this question. And that's why you are right, really. I have looked into this. Why does WHO and NFH's estimate differ? The reason is really prevalence is defined in a different way.
Hello, yeah, good evening. Good evening. I have this very simple question, and based on your experience of work with people, I just want to understand if someone dies and how is the death gets recorded? Is the death gets recorded the cause being alcohol or something else? So how does alcohol mortality reflects in the statistics? How does it gets reflected in the statistics?
You are asking about Gadchiroli statistics or national global statistics?
I'm asking the local statistics.
No, I didn't present any mortality data about Gadchiroli. What I presented, 3 lakh alcohol-related deaths, is an estimate not coming from Gadchiroli. This is a national estimate.
Even nationally.
Yes.
So how is it gets reflected into statistics?
Look, there are different sources. So different sources use different methods. Government of India has got a system called sample registration system, in which they record mortality in selected sample places all over India, and they assign cause of death. There is another study called Million Death Study, which is going on in collaboration with Government of India, which records mortality and assigns cause of death. So there are different sources have different methods. WHO gives a very specific method of how to assign cause of death. There are specific criteria, and there is an international classification of how to code deaths. So these data which I quoted about India, they all come from WHO statistics using international classification of cause of death.
Last one.
Hello, sir. My name is Durga. I wanted to ask. I'm living in a tribal village. So there is a boy who is started alcoholism in very young age. So I'm saying to that people also and man also, alcohol is not good for health. So they are saying we are doing hard work. That's why we are drinking. So we not feeling pain from the drink. They are saying like that. So how you are tackling for that? If in Gadchiroli also they are doing hard work.
Look, there are several ways of getting relief from the pain caused by hard work. One solution is really one should not be doing such inhuman hard work which causes tremendous pain in the evening. That's one. But people are often forced by the economic conditions to do that kind of hard work. Another question that we pose to is that women also do hard work, but they don't do more hours of hard work. They work in the field, they also work at home, while men usually don't work at home. So women don't have to drink, then why men have to drink? And even amongst men, half of the men don't drink. They also do hard work. So we drink because we do hard work is an excuse. So we drink because we do hard work is an excuse.